YouTube stream? Okay, perfect.
Got it.
Thank you.
Okay, we are live.
Please continue.
You want me to restart?
Yeah.
Good morning. The meeting of the Windward Planning Commission will now come to order. It is Thursday, July 7th, 2022. The time is 9:03 a.m. This meeting is streamed live on YouTube. At this time, I'd like to introduce our fellow commissioners here. Commissioner Gilbert Aguinaldo.
Good morning.
Commissioner Lauren Baylog.
Good morning.
Commissioner Louis Daniele III.
Good morning.
Commissioner Wayne DeLuz.
Morning.
Commissioner Michelle Galimba is absent and excused. And at this time, we would like to welcome our newest Commissioner, John Cross.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Cookie.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. And I am Chair Dennis Lynn. We'd also like to introduce our staff. Deputy Corporation Counsel Sinclair Salas Ferguson, covering for Malia Kikai, attorney for the commission.
Good morning.
Deputy Corporation Counsel Jean Campbell, attorney for the planning department. Planning Director Zendo Kern. Good morning. Planner Tracy Lee Camaro. Planner Christian K. Planner Clinton Mercado. Planning Program Manager Maya Jackson.
Good morning.
Host on Zoom, Janice Hata. And
Good morning.
Commission, Melissa Takayanan Salvador. Just a reminder, if there is anyone who would like to testify, please fill out the yellow sign-up form on the back table and submit it to the staff. Also, if you have any written testimony to any of the agenda items, please submit it to staff. Please make sure your cell phones are turned off or on silent mode. To all of us who are attending here in person, please remember to pick up the microphone and speak directly into the mic so that your statements can be recorded and transcribed. At this time, the minutes of the June 2nd, 2022 meeting have been circulated. Are there any corrections? And has everybody received the minutes? May I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes for last meeting.
I second. Okay, it's been motion approved by Commissioner Daniele and second by Commissioner Aguinaldo. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes of the June 2nd meeting are approved as submitted. We will now take testimony for item number 1. At this time, there is no testifiers in person for item number 1. Are there any Zoom testifiers for agenda item number 1?
No, there are no testifiers.
Okay. All right. At this time, we'll move on to testimony for agenda item number 2. In person, I have here Russell Doy. Oh, please come forward and take any of the seats right here. Mr. Doy, can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter before the Windward Planning Commission?
Yes.
Before you start your testimony, please provide your name and the town you live in and speak clearly into the microphone.
My name
Let me try again. Mr. You will have 3 minutes, and at 30 seconds, oh, you'll have a reminder at 1 minute and 30 seconds. Please start when you're ready,
Okay, so my name,
and the town you live in.
my name is Russell Lloyd, and I live in Kilo. I came this morning to testify about the development on the old Hope Zone. I live on the land almost 60 years already, and I still there. And what I came last time and I complained that they throw plenty material and still in the flood zone yet. And from the last time, they still never do nothing to remove the material. From the last time we came till now, somebody else in the back subdivision, we dump little bit material in the flood zone, and the county will make them take out the material. So how can these people get material in a flood zone, plenty material, and nobody can do nothing? It's one of my main concerns. And that's just because of politics, because they was tightly dealing, and I guess they tightly held it, so nobody can do nothing. Another thing too is when they creating this new flood channel, they like from N at Fair Street, and I said, that cannot do because where the water going from there, the water will flow into the wine home housing because we follow the road, and they say they're looking for a culvert on the Fair Street. But when you look at the situation, even on Kawainani Street, when the water flow, the water go over the road because when they designed the thing, the flood, the culvert is too small. So now the road get covered and you're looking fast and get flood. And all that water come down into the river behind my house. So I think something wrong how they approving all these flood control thing, and you gotta really look at that. And another thing too, I just was talking to Public Works. They dumped the old hospital in the land, and I asked them, they never even had permit as far as they know. So they got an illegal dumping of thousands of yards of rubble on the land. But that was a politics to the let slide. But I'm not exactly sure, but when I was at Public Works, they told me they never even had permit for that. So somebody gotta look at that.
Thank you, Mr. Dodd.
Thank you.
Janet, are there any Zoom testifiers for agenda item number 2?
There are currently no new testifiers in the Zoom room.
There are also no testifiers for agenda number 3 and number 4. Do I have a motion to close public testimony?
I make the motion to close public testimony at this time.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Commissioner Aguinaldo and seconded by Commissioner Daniele. All those in favor of closing public testimony, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Public testimony is now closed. We'll now move on to new business. First agenda item is applicant RJL LLC, PL-REZ-2022-000020. Application for a change of zone from an agricultural 3-acre to a single-family residential 15,000 square feet, RS15 zoning district for approximately 13.838 acres of land. The property is located at the southwest corner of High Street, Inola Drive intersection, Waiakea Homestead Second Series, South Hilo, Hawaii, TMK 32-4-039, parcel 025. At this time, I'll call out staff Tracy Lee Camaro for planning department presentation.
Good morning, Sharon, members of the Windward Planning Commission. The application before you today is the applicant RJL LLC. They're currently requesting a change of zone from agricultural 3 acres to RS15 for approximately 13.838 acres. Before you on the screen is a location map of the subject property. The subject property is located in the South Hilo district at the southeast corner intersection of the High Street and Inola Drive. As you can see on the map, there is Komohana, which leads in the north to south direction and it intersects with Inola Drive at that point. And then if you follow Inola Drive further west, it goes to the red dot that's indicated on the screen before you. So again, the applicant's request is a change of zone from agricultural 3 acres to single-family residential RS15 zoning district for approximately 13.838 acres of land. The reasons for the request, if the requested land use entitlement change is approved, the applicants propose to subdivide the property into 13 lots that will be sold on the open market to the general public. The subject property is identified with the red outline on the screen before you. And as you can see, the light blue indicates the current county zoning, which is agricultural 3 acres. The surrounding property colors, the surrounding properties include the mustard color and the yellow color zoning designations, which indicate the single family residential. The light green color at the top of the slide indicates an agricultural zoning, which is across the street off of High. This is the state land use boundary map. The current state land use boundary for the property as well as the surrounding property is urban. Before you is the general plan land use pattern allocation guide map. And as you can see, the property as well as the surrounding property is designated as low density urban. This is a current, well, it's not so much current. There is more development that has happened to the east of the property, west of the property. However, this is the most recent aerial photo that I could get off of our pictometry website. As you can see, High runs in a diagonal direction on your screen, and then we have Inola which intersects it from the top to bottom direction. You can see the surrounding residential subdivisions to the west as well as to the north and the south. And then to the east, you have an open property that is, as you can see, is still designated as agricultural. This is the applicant's proposed subdivision map. High is on the upper portion of the slide. Access is currently being proposed from Kikaha Street, which will adjoin with the Ho'olala Street extension. Ho'olala Street will also continue on to connect to Inola Drive. There are 2 proposed cul-de-sacs. The interior roadways will be built to Dedical standards for the county, except for 1 private cul-de-sac is currently being proposed. This is the site photos. On the left is a photo of the High Street intersection with Kikaha Street. It's looking east with the subject property on the right. The photo on the right is looking north on the Inola Drive, where the subject property is located on the left. And it's in the approximate area where the Inola Drive will connect to the Ho'olala Street extension. This is a site photo of the subject property looking south towards the High Street and Inola intersection. You have the High Street on your right, and you have Inola Drive on your left. I just want to show you guys kind of like what this current intersection looks like. There's also the state designated property, which is off of the Inola Drive, and more on the left-hand side, you can see there's like a bus stop. There's a state-owned property that takes up more than 50% of that subject property's frontage off of Vinola Drive. So on July 5th, the applicant submitted a response to the planning director's background and recommendation report. The applicant proposed changes to conditions G, H, K, and O. After we reviewed it, the planning director agrees with the applicant's amendments. However, at this time, the director is recommending that condition K be amended as shown on your screen. The intent of this amendment is to clean up this condition. The applicants will be working hard to mitigate the flood areas within the subject property, and they intend to do that throughout the process of the subdivision should this change of zone be approved. So with that, the planning director is recommending a favorable recommendation be sent to the county council with the amendments to conditions G, H, K, and O. And with that, I can turn the floor back over to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Can you please call up the applicant and the applicant's representative? Could you please raise your right hand so I can swear you in? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission? Please state your name and the town you live in. Also, have you received the background and recommendation reports from the planning department?
Good morning, Chair Lynn and members of the Windward Planning Commission. My name is Darren Arai. I'm a planning consultant residing in the city of Hilo. To the right of me is the applicant, Lori Higashi, representing RJL. And we have received the director's background report and recommendation, and we do agree with the proposed conditions of approval as amended.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. The request before you, and we appreciate very thoughtful consideration of the planning director and the hard work of the staff in putting forth a favorable recommendation, which basically represents a very appropriate progression of single-family residential uses within this particular area of Hilo. And that is witnessed by not only the general plan, which designates the area for low density urban uses, but also by the fact that the state land use designation is currently urban. So we appreciate again the thoughtful consideration of staff and the planning director, and we stand ready to answer any questions you have regarding that.
Thank you. Commissioner, do you have any questions for the applicant or the applicant's representative? Or staff? Seeing no comments, is there a motion for action?
Favorable recommendation. I move that favorable recommendation be forwarded to the county council on the application for change of zone, docket number REZ 2022-020, based on planning director's recommendation, which shall be adopted.
I second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Daniele and seconded by Commissioner Aguinaldo for a favorable recommendation. Commissioners, is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, staff, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Daniele,
Aye.
Commissioner Aguinaldo,
Aye.
Commissioner Bela. Commissioner Croft,
Aye.
Commissioner DeLuz,
Aye.
and Chair Lynn.
Aye.
The motion carries 6-0 with Commissioner Hernandez. Thank you so much.
Thank you both. The decision will be mailed.
Very much appreciate. Thank you very much, Commissioner Dr. Craig.
All right, now we will move on to agenda item number 2. Applicant is Kilo Senior Investments LLC, formerly Island Heritage Ventures LLC. Application number PL-REZ-2022-000021. Application for an amendment to condition C, time to secure final subdivision approval of change of zone ordinance number 17-24, which rezoned approximately 7.402 acres of land from single-family residential 10,000 square feet RS10 to neighborhood commercial 7,500 square feet CN-7.5. The subject property is located on the southeast side of the intersection of Kanoe Lehua Avenue, Highway 11, and East Kapopea Street. Waiakea Homestead House Lots, South Hilo, Hawaii, TMK 32-2-044, parcels numbered 031, 032, 035, and 037. Oh. Sorry, just a quick change here. Is there anybody here that wants to testify on this matter? Okay, seeing none, okay, I will continue then. Thank you. At this time, I'll call up staff presentation. Maya Jackson, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. So the next item is an amendment to a change of zone ordinance. The subject property is located in the South Hilo District. You can see the property outlined in black on this slide. In just a moment, I have not used this clicker in years since we've been on Zoom. Let me try to point you to the, there we go. Okay, so this is the subject property outlined in black. You have Kahaopea Street running east-west on the north side of the property, and Kanoe Lehua Avenue running along the west side of the property in a north-south direction. The property is currently zoned neighborhood commercial, 7,500 square feet. And the general plan designation for the property is low density urban. I believe when the zoning was originally granted in 1996, the director at that time interpreted the general plan map to allow for CN zoning. They interpreted it as high density urban extending across the intersection. Let's see. This is an aerial view of the property. You can see it is primarily covered in vegetation. The testifier, Mr. Doi, lives on this property here. And I'm just going to go back to show you Mr. Doi's property. It's located here. And he accesses Kahaopea Street through an easement along the through the subject property out to Kahaopea Street here. There is a drainage way that runs through the property, generally in this area here, and then a culvert that crosses Kahaopea Street, generally in this area. You can see the surrounding area is residential to the east and north, and then across the street, kitty corner, is the Poanico town center with like Baskin Robbins Subway at the corner, and then an auto parts store here. So back in, I think, 2017, when the prior rezone amendment occurred, the At the same time, the landowner had a partner, I guess, that wanted to develop a 120-bed assisted living facility. So in 2017, they applied for a use permit, and the Planning Commission granted that use permit for the care facility. And then at the same time, they received the zoning amendment for a time extension to secure subdivision approval. The plans have not changed since then, and the applicant has been working diligently in realizing those plans. So this is essentially the site plan they had back in 2017, and it's the same site plan now. You can see Kahaopea Street on the left side of the slide, Kanoe Lehua on the bottom. In the corner, you have a retail commercial component. There's a parking lot here. And then this large structure in the middle of the property is the 120-bed assisted living facility. So access would be off of Kahaopea Street here, and then that will lead to the parking lot for the retail, as well as several parking lots supporting the assisted living facility, and then access to Mr. Doy's property, which is here. I believe this dark gray area is generally where the floodway is. And then the purple area is a wastewater treatment plant for the development. So the applicant is requesting to amend condition C for a 5-year time extension to secure final subdivision approval to consolidate and subdivide the property. As I mentioned, the applicant has been working diligently to complete development of the assisted living facility and the retail commercial uses on the property. They've received master plan approval in 2021, as well as tentative subdivision approval and drainage plans for on-site improvements. Remaining approvals that are needed are for additional drainage way improvements. They'll have to get approval for that from Department of Public Works and FEMA, as well as state DOT approval for traffic improvements and final plan approval from planning and building permits and construction plan approval from DPW. This is a view of the property from Kahaopea Street looking west towards the highway. You can see the low spot here in the road, and then the road rises up to the highway. Access to the property would be generally in this location here. And then this is a view standing on Kahaopea looking into the property. You can see that part of the property is cleared, and then there are several invasive non-native trees and shrubs on the property. And then this is a view standing across the property, generally near where the subway in Baskin Robbins is, and then you can see the highway and the property with the palm trees and other invasives, and then this is Kahaopea going down into the property. The planning director is recommending the commission forward a favorable recommendation to the county council to amend condition C of ordinance 1724. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Maya. May I please have the applicant or applicant's representative come up to the table? Please raise your right hand so I can swear you in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter before the Windward Planning Commission? Please state your name and the town you live in. Also, have you received the background and recommendation reports from the planning department? And do you agree with the planning director's recommendation, including proposed conditions?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, planning director and staff. Yeah, my name is Tom Ye, attorney for the applicant. And then to my right is John DeWall, who's the principal. Yeah, we looked over the conditions and the background report and wanted to thank staff and language director for putting that together. Have no objections to the conditions as written. And I just also wanted to say it's one of the insertion was to allow for administrative time extension instead of having to go back to the council. If I may have a moment just to speak a little bit more about the applicants and the application, some of the issues that have been discussed here today. It wasn't the applicant that has been involved in any kind of grubbing or grading activity or fill material. It was a predecessor interest. Your information back in February 2018, FEMA did issue a conditional letter of map revision that allows the work in the drainage areas to occur. And that work will allow additional building area to put the 120 bed assisted living facility on site. The conditions as they now stand and as they will stand once the extension is granted does require that in order for the certificate of occupancy to be issued for this 120 bed assisted living facility or for any bond for subdivision approval to be released, the FEMA people need to issue a final letter of map revision that the work has been completed in accordance with the plans that are approved in the conditional letter of map revision. So that's a process that we're working through. Mr. Doi understandably has issues about concerns about drainage, which are being resolved. Those plans have been approved. Now it's really moving forward. Part of the reason for getting this time extension is, as you know, we ran through COVID, we had a lava flow, we've had a change in administration of the agency. The current hang-up seems to be working with engineering division for public works and or traffic division and DOT, which is not an easy nut to crack to get agreement on how these intersection improvements occur, because Calpea is county, Canole, real estate. So getting to agree on what kind of striping or siding or intersection improvements should be there has been taking some real small time. So I think that's about it. Mr. Dory acquired the property from Stephanie Salazar a couple of years ago. We had a memo of agreement that resolves the easement issues, how that access is to be taken in conjunction with development. Also, there's a 22,000 square foot lot on the backside of Mr. Dory's property, but once the subdivision is done, the applicant has agreed to pay that to the
Cancel.
So, Mr. DeWall may have some things to add, I'm not sure, but we're open for questions.
I want to thank you for your time. One other addition to the report is there was an archaeological study that was done for the site. Just want to make that correction.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant or applicant's representative at this time, or for staff?
Sure, just one quick question.
Go ahead.
So
Commissioner.
just to reiterate, your hang up has been how the road is gonna, how the road's gonna work for the subdivision. Is that correct?
That's certainly a good part of what we're waiting for now, is to get that approval.
Yeah, from the plan I looked at and the information provided, it looks like your basic subdivision is ready to go.
Correct.
And you just need to work out the access to the Calpea Street and coming up to.
That's correct.
So the easement I see on the front, that still will exist, that so when it comes up from Calpea on the top, right by Canole, or is that being eliminated? I couldn't quite make that out.
Yeah, the current easement for Mr. Doy's property runs parallel and adjacent to Canole Road. There's going to be a commercial site on that corner, about 30,000 square feet. Okay. And then Thank you. And then there's gonna be a roadway that cuts through diagonally to get to another location, because really, if you look at where the current easement is now, where it comes right on the. It's not a real safe road because it's so close to the turning intersection point. So moving that access a little bit further in Palpay is much safer access for everybody. So that's the plan right there. That's part of the subdivision plan. I believe that is, that's actually depicted in exhibit 1 of the background report information that was provided. So you'll see where that access is proposed. There will be an emergency access. Another emergency access if needed, which is a little bit closer to the intersection, but most of the time that's going to be gated.
Like, that's excellent. Good luck with the DOT. So I can see why it's taking so long. Well, thank you. I can see it on the map. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's really more personnel change. There were these discussions and tacit agreements, but never really documented in writing. Administration changes, and now it's kind of starting that whole process again.
Is Colorado part of the state or is it more Canoli? Okay, so the county is on Calpea. Okay.
And so you've got some overlap of jurisdictions there.
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions, the applicant or the applicants?
Mr. Chair, I do.
Go ahead.
For the applicant and the applicant representative, I guess we had a testifier indicating material being brought to the property. So he's concerned because in the back there, when down on Alpea, when it rains hard, it does flood. So he has an access easement, Russell has an access easement to his property. When you bring in material, depending on the size of the area, you guys are bringing material or grabbing, have you guys acquired a grading or grabbing permit to just, how are you guys pushing? Because you guys are close to a flood zone, right? See where I'm coming from? So it's just for him because you probably drive there every day, going and seeing material being brought in. From the time extension to wherever you guys are at now, are you guys taking proper mitigation as far as runoffs or whatnot? Because right across the street, I remember we had there was a big flood a long time ago. Actually, when that house got flooded and the house sits pretty high. Just addressing that, it's a great concept what you guys trying to do. My question is again, have you guys take, permit to satisfy FEMA, right?
Yes. Yeah, so basically the way the process works is FEMA's issues conditional letter of grant provision based on plans for dealing with this drainage issue. And the grading plans have been provided, prepared, and are being submitted to Public Works in compliance or consistent with those FEMA approved plans. We've also gotten the right of entry from the neighbors who are high at the property. The idea is to help focus, concentrate, and minimize any issues of drainage. It's just a matter of water. Where does the water come from? It comes from up above. I believe it's YPS stream kind of water, but the county is for some time also been trying to deal with. So it's kind of a host of factors that contribute to this. But yes, grading permit, part of construction drawings and plans. In order to get final approval, we need to do things before we can get final approval to work on.
Okay, so you guys do have at least the grabbing permit.
It's coming. It's coming. Yes. But the client or the applicant was not responsible for bringing further. I just need to get that.
Okay.
Case. It was a predecessor report.
Oh, previously. Oh, got it. Okay. I'm good.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. You guys have any other questions or comments of Commissioner Cross?
There used to be an old Murray Air crop duster playing on that property. I'd like to know where that is. Steve, yeah.
We're not sure who brought that on the city, so. I think remnants of it are still there. Those are gonna be cleared out as part of the development process.
That's part of my history.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for the applicant or applicant's representative? I do recognize that, Mr. Doyle, you have your hand up. If my fellow commissioners would like Mr. Doyle to respond or comment, that is up to the commissioners.
Yeah, I have a question about his access. You said that there was an easement to the property for him, and will that easement, is that easement getting moved or is it staying in place?
It is being moved. You can't move that. There is land called land. You can't move that.
Well, we've already deregistered the land itself, so it's now regular system land. And then back in 2000 and back in 2018 in June, there was a memorandum of agreement that specifically references the movement of the easement and its new location. So that is already recorded in land court as well before the deregistration. So there is an agreement in place to do. It's not like we're going brush shot over it.
Thank you. Mr. Doyle, as the commissioners would like for you to comment, you can come up.
Yeah, talking about the field, even if the previous owner brought the material in, is still there. And if they did it illegally, this guy should just be able to let it go and don't do nothing about it. You understand what I'm trying to say? And like I said, it's still in a flood zone yet, and that will affect from the last flood they had. My neighbor's house will get underwater. About 5 vehicles on my property went underwater. And there was a public works guy came and he said nothing wrong. But that was when Billy or Harry was there. And rolling guy said, guys with that. So they run them under the table. But when I went to Public Works said had no permit for bringing that material on the property. So something should be done about that. That shouldn't just be run over and make believe nothing will happen. Furthermore, these guys tell they can move my easement. They don't can move my easement because when that property, they're not supposed to have change the easement on the land. Because what I understand, that was on land for land, and the easement was on the land for papers. And now they're telling that they can move the easement. I don't think something is wrong there. But mostly the material in the flood zone. And when they brought the old hospital to rubble from the old hospital to the property, and there was a lot of big yards. And I rumbled that time too, and nothing was happening. So maybe now we brought in here, something will happen. But before, they can shoot them under the table and just like nothing. Because me, I only want small potato. They can do that. But as time going by, all these big guys will do anything they like, even in Honolulu. When you look at Kealoha and all the Spanish guys, everything catch up, and then things change. And I'm sure all that even when happened on this island, from Jakimura or Lincoln.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle. At this time, I want to give the commissioners an opportunity to ask you some questions.
Yeah.
Because I know that some of them had some questions, so I believe Commissioner Daniele, you had a question for Mr. Doyle. Mr. Duluth.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Doyle, don't you think that changing that access would make it safer for you? Because it's really a bad, that's why I asked Mr. Ye about that, because it's dangerous, already you guys are on a hill, right? Cloudville, right by the light. And they try to make it safer for you to access your property.
I'm good, if maybe 50 guys will use the driveway, then maybe will be one whole different thing, but if just only me, I'm convenient with the way the driveway going in and out. I've been using that for my whole life already, and I've been there.
No, I
Maybe
appreciate that, but
60.
they're gonna try to improve the property, you have a lot of people coming in and out, right? And it just makes it more dangerous, so they're trying to make it, easier for everyone. And there's gonna be more traffic yet coming in and out of that property, so I'm just asking you don't think that's a better design?
Well, I'm happy with the way it is now,
Well, that's not the question I asked.
It's safe for me, I get.
Yeah, but it's not only you, what I'm asking you, don't you think that it's safer for everyone?
Well, what I told them is, if they like to move my access, I put my hand out and they gotta put something inside. But now these guys, they like do everything the way they like. What can I say,
Well, I think.
I told him, they went off for 3 million for the land, maybe about 15 years ago, and I declined the offer, okay? So when, now they like, develop the land, I told them, what about forking out the money then? And I pulled out of there. But they said, oh, we don't pay fork out the money. So if they don't like pay, why they complain? You understand what I'm trying to say?
Well, yeah, you're holding a hostage, I understand.
Yeah, well, but they went offer already when they first wanted to develop. There was this guy, but whoever they bring an offer, and I will turn it down the money. And that was years ago.
Okay, well, that's a separate issue, but I just was asking you basically, Mr. Doyle. I mean, obviously, if you don't believe it's safer, I understand, but obviously you have a different alternative, but I believe it's safer for the whole subdivision to take that approach in moving the entrance, so I just wanted your opinion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Duluth. Thank you, Mr. Doyle.
That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Applicant or applicant's representative, did you have any further comments or remarks?
My understanding of this group, what Mr. Doyle is talking about is, he had asked if there was any willingness to acquire this property. I'm not sure what discussions went further with that. But really, seriously, at this time, the applicant has enough on its hands in terms of developing what's there. There may come a time that there's a need to obtain additional property. There's already been a give, so to speak, because there is a lot that's going to get conveyed. But other than that, we're good on the issues other than this. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a question for the applicant and the representative.
Go ahead, Commissioner. Alvarado.
This, because of, Russell, do you guys have, whatever access or easement or wherever his pre-existing driveway is right now? And I remember like what Mr. Duluth was indicating is for his safety. Do you guys have a drawing? Is it on you guys' site plan A1 for his access, relocation, how he's gonna get in and out of his property?
Yes. That's on exhibit 1 that shows that access.
Okay, yeah.
Sure. So,
1 second, please.
Should be exhibit 1 to the back of the report. So using the pointer, this is the current access to Mr. Doy's property here. As you can see, the location is very close to the intersection, so there are people coming right in particularly, it's not a good safe alternative. So the proposed traffic access or easement access would be shifted to this area and come out over here. That's where the access would be. So, obviously from a design and safety standpoint, given the kind of traffic that's going to be generated, it's not going to be substantial, but regardless, whether it's staff or employees or visitors to the assisted living facility or commercial site, we really don't want traffic coming in at that location.
I see, so that's the proposed, proposed in and out of the development, so Russell's property is, by looking at that map, is on that white area where you have all the contours right there.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
in the future, I would appreciate if you guys doing that for this site plan. Just indicate for him, because by looking at it, if I'm looking at it, I don't see where he's gonna get in and out because all I see the arrows is, there's no like an approach or, driveway. So at least he sees it for himself. Because if I looking at it, I'd be like, I'm a landlocked.
I see.
Yeah, so just,
No, I appreciate that because obviously his lot abuts the boundary of the property where that access is going to be. So you'll have direct access along that frontage.
Right. Okay. I think
Thank you, Commissioner Alvarado.
Thank you.
So commissioners, we need a motion and a second before we can discuss further. So may I hear a motion for action?
I move that a favorable recommendation be forwarded to the county council on the application for a change of zone. Docket number REZ 2022-021, based on the planning director's recommendation, which shall be adopted.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Commissioner DeLuz and seconded by Commissioner Daniele for a favorable recommendation. Commissioners, any discussion on the motion? If there is no discussion, staff, may we please get a roll call.
Yes. Commissioner DeLuz,
Aye.
Commissioner Daniele,
Aye.
Commissioner Aguinaldo,
Aye.
Commissioner Baylock. Aye. Commissioner Cross
Aye.
and Chairman.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. You'll be notified.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your consideration.
At this point, we'll take a 10-minute break. We'll come back at 10:05.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, either that, we'll probably just bring that up discussion. Yeah, we couldn't have the time to do work all that out. That's gonna be a much lighter lift than trying to go through 17 different. Yeah. That was great. It made sense to us. So we'll, at the end of the presentation, we'll just present it on the screen. See it. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I understand you have flexibility. That
makes sense to me. I think it's wrong. Yeah, yeah. Right, understood. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think that's where, that's the only one that's still. I think. Yeah, they're fine. I actually stayed in a tent when I was yeah. Yeah, well, we live with my eating father too, so he. Doing our best. But luckily for us, we're also. That's what they have a little guest house. So separate to and sleeping in bed. Yeah, I'm very nice. Yeah. So I'm hoping. Yeah, so if you have it, like you play, yeah, that's the biggest thing. Yeah. Can't see them. Yeah, get rested. And then like if I walk 100 feet, it's nuts, man. It's the strangest thing. So this thing on, I think I was relaxed for a little bit. Yeah, no, everywhere else I go. Right on. Well, no. Hopefully thank you, appreciate it. Since I did the chat feature.
Okay, I now call the Windward Planning Commission back in session. We now move on to agenda item number 3. Planning Director initiated Robert and Carol Oshiro, application REZ 16-000208/PL-PDI-2022-000003. The planning director has initiated the repeal of a change of zone ordinance number 17-7 and amendment to section 25-8-33, City of Hilo Zone Map, Article 8, Chapter 25, Zoning Code of the Hawaii County Code 1983-2016 edition as amended, by reverting the current zoning of the subject property from commercial 10,000 square foot CN10 to its original single-family residential 10,000 square feet RS10 zoning district for the approximately 1 acre of land. The subject property is located on the east Makai side of Kilauea Avenue, approximately 180 feet north of its intersection with East Kapopea Street, Waiakea Homestead House Lots, Waiakea South Hilo, Hawaii TMK 32-2-040, parcel number 4. At this time, are there any testifiers in person or via Zoom for this application or this agenda item? Now, we will continue on to staff presentation. Clinton.
Mahalo, Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Hello. We will begin our slide presentation with the location map. The subject 1 acre parcel is located in the South Hilo district of Hawaii Island in the Waiakea Homestead House Lot area, and it is indicated outlined in red in the middle. Planning Director's request. The Planning Director is initiating a request to repeal ordinance number 17-7 in response to a written request dated December 29, 2021, submitted by the landowners Robert S. and Carol Oshiro. The repeal would revert the zoning of the 1 acre parcel to its original RS10 zoning designation from the current CN10 zoning designation. The landowners originally changed the parcel zoning to develop a restaurant. However, due to the recent COVID-19 pandemic, Many of the businesses and people who have been supporting the landowners in pursuing their restaurant business are no longer in business or have lost their jobs. Further, it has been approximately 5 years since the landowners started the project, and due to their age, they can no longer pursue the restaurant development. Therefore, they're requesting that the change of zone ordinance number 17-7 be repealed, and the zoning district reverted to its original single-family residential RS10. Here's the county zoning map. The subject parcel is zoned neighborhood commercial, 10,000 square feet, directly adjacent to the north and across Kilauea to the west. Sorry. To the west, have similar residential zoning with the primary single-family residential use. Adjacent to the south and east are zoned neighborhood commercial, 10,000 square feet consisting of a parking lot. To the south and the Windward Town Center commercial area to the east. The state land use designation for the parcel and the surrounding area is urban. Here is the general loop map. The general plan land use planning and allocation guide map designated for the subject parcel is medium density urban, indicated in orange, with the high density urban to the east in red, which is corresponding with Waianapo Town Center. And finally indicated in yellow is the low density urban. This is an image of the image on the left is an aerial view of the subject parcel outlined in blue and its surrounding area. Kilauea Avenue is running in the north and south direction in front of the property. To the far bottom of the image running in the east and west direction is East Caldwell Street. Adjacent to the Waianapo Town Center and adjacent to the south is a parking lot. The image on the right is a zoomed in aerial view of the subject parcel outlined in blue. There are 3 existing dwellings on the parcel that are currently being occupied by the landowners and other family members. Here is the site photo. This view image taken from Kilauea Avenue is looking towards the east of the property. This is another roadside view, Kilauea Avenue looking south with the subject property to the left. My final screen is on the planning director's recommendation, which is to forward a favorable recommendation to the county council to repeal ordinance number 17-7. Back over to
Thank you, Cindy. I have already spoken to Mr. Oshiro, to remain seated, unless the commissioners have any questions for the applicant. If not, commissioners, I need a motion in the second before we discuss this matter. May I hear a motion for action?
I move that favorable recommendation be forwarded to the county council on the request to repeal change of zone ordinance 177 and amend Hawaii County Code section 25-8-33 based on the planning director's recommendation, which shall be adopted.
I second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Daniele and seconded by Commissioner Aguinaldo. favorable recommendation. Commissioners, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, staff, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Thank you. Commissioner Daniel,
Aye.
Commissioner Aguinaldo,
Aye.
Commissioner Balo, Commissioner Cross,
Aye.
Commissioner De Luz,
Aye.
and Chair Lynn.
Aye.
Commissioners, we have a 6 aye and 1 excused. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Oshiro, and you'll be notified via letter, in writing. Thank you. We will now move on to unfinished business. Agenda item number 4 is applicant Yamada and Sons, Inc. Application PL-SPP-2022-000012. Application for special permit to allow the establishment of a quarry operation related to improvements and activities on a 37.882 acre portion of a larger 2,407 acre parcel of land in the state land use agricultural district. The project site is located to the south of Hilo Sanitary Landfill and adjacent to the east of existing quarries on the subject state-owned property within the district of Waitea, South Hilo, Hawaii, TMK 32-1-013 parcel or a portion of parcel 002. At this time, I'll bring up a presentation by Christian K of the Planning Department.
Thank you and good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, members of the Windward Planning Commission, and welcome Commissioner Cross. As the chair stated, this is a application for a special permit. The subject project site or permit area is shown here, outlined in red and indicated as project site. It's approximately 37.882 acres of a larger 2,407 acre state-owned property situated within the South Hilo district of Hawaii Island, more specifically adjacent to the south of the old Hilo Sanitary Landfill and also adjacent to existing and old quarry operations. The applicant is requesting a special permit to establish a new quarry site on approximately 37.882 acres of land on a portion of a larger 2,407 acre state-owned property situated within the state land use agricultural district. The applicant proposes to extract approximately 25,000 tons of raw rock material per month, and with the excavation reaching a proposed depth of 80 feet from existing grade. The quarry is expected to have an active lifetime of roughly 30 years. Excavation of rock will be accomplished through the use of heavy equipment when possible. If impenetrable rock is encountered during excavation activities, drilling and blasting will be performed. As rock material is excavated, the perimeter of the permit area will have engineered fill with a 3-to-1 slope to avoid a shear drop and facilitate future use should a suitable use be contemplated. A vegetative buffer will also be provided around the perimeter of the permit area. No crushing, finished processing, or sales activities will occur within the permit area. Excavated rock will be either stockpiled on site or removed and trucked off site via Ho'olaulima Road and the applicant's quarry base yard located off of Railroad Avenue for crushing, processing, and sale. The applicant anticipates about 4 to 5 rock hauling trucks or 8 to 10 tractor trailers will be making about 3 trips per hour between the proposed quarry and applicant's base yard and processing facilities. All activities will conform to the State Department of Health regulations. Hours of operation are proposed to be limited between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. daily, as specified by the state license. Fine, take your time. During peak operation, there will be a maximum of 10 employees within the permit area at any given time. The applicant's reason for request is that they have effectively exhausted their supply of quality rock material from its existing and adjacent 14.99 acre quarry that began operation in November 2010 under special permit number 10110. This new quarry operation would allow the applicant to continue harvesting essential rock resources for the manufacture of base course and components of hot mix asphalt and concrete needed for the construction of many public and private projects. So this is the county's zoning map. The subject property or subject to the permit area, again, is outlined here in red. That's the permit area. Much of the surrounding area is zoned agricultural 20 acres, as indicated in dark green. There's some agricultural 5 acres here to the east, and then some general industrial 1 acre zone here indicated in gray, and agricultural 10 acres. And this is the Department of Land and Homeland's Panayeva Homesteads area, as indicated in the darker navy blue. The state land use designation for the subject's permit area and much of the surrounding area is agricultural, as indicated by green. There's some state land use urban here to the north, as indicated in the red color. The general plan land use pattern allocation guide map designates the majority of the permit area as important agricultural lands, with some extensive agriculture mixed in. Other designations in the area include industrial, urban expansion, low density, and high density urban. Here's the applicant's site plan. Again, for reference, we've got Lima Road running generally north-south on this side of the image. The applicant's current quarry operation is generally in this area, and the proposed additional 37.82 acres is indicated in this T shape here. Here's a photo of aerial photo of the project site and surrounding area. Sorry for the lack of good image quality here, but again, it's just showing the project site with the existing Yamana quarry located here. Former quarry sites in this area that have since been closed. The old county landfill area shown here, and then again the Panayeva farm lots shown here to the west. Here's a view of the subject property looking north on the left-hand side, Ho'olalima Road here with the subject property on the left-hand side, and a view of the applicant's existing quarry sites from the top of the berm looking down into the already quarried area. Generally, the location of the new quarry site would be an extension of this on the right-hand side. There's some other views of Lima Street looking west. This is moving toward the old human dump area, and this is the drag strip area with subject property being on the side. So the planning director is recommending that the special permit be approved by the planning commission and forward to the state land use commission for final determination. As this is a special permit for a land area over 15 acres, the state land use commission has final authority, decision-making power on the special permit. It's a bit unique in that if the commission so chooses, if you vote to approve it and forward on to final decision, that would go to LUC. If you vote to deny, it kind of ends here. So just to give you kind of an idea procedurally of what you're looking at. So this special permit application was actually scheduled to be heard in our last planning commission meeting in June. There was a last minute request to defer the application, because there was a series of, letters from the Keopaha Farmers Association as well as the Department of Hawaiian Homelands requesting about 17 different condition changes and additions. Instead of going through all of that, the applicant requested a deferral in order to take some time to meet with the Farmers Association as well as the HHL to try and come up with some negotiated agreements on new or amended conditions to help address some of the Farmers Association and Hawaiian Homelands Department's concerns. And so the next series of slides will be the outcome of those negotiations. You should have received very recently a letter from Darren Arai, who is representing Yamada and Sons, with the outcome of those negotiations, some of the justification, and they will have also received 2 letters of support from the Farmers Association as well as the Department of Hawaiian Homelands addressing those same kind of proposed condition changes. So I'll go over them briefly here. So there is a proposed condition amendment to condition number 4. And this has to do with the hours of operation. There was some concern that the hours of operation of the current land license allowed, which are 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. would be too expensive and would cause kind of some noise impacts. So part of the negotiation here is instead of pouring activities kind of being limited between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. daily, it reads active pouring activities described as the extraction and handling of rougher soil material, including its transport, shall be restricted to that period from Monday through Friday between the hours of 7 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. All non-active, low noise generating quarry related activities such as site planning, surveying, staking, mobilization of equipment between the permit area and the applicant's processing facilities, etc., shall be limited to the hours of 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. So again, this is a proposed change that was acceptable to both the Department of Hawaiian Homelands and the Farmers Association. Another condition is condition number 5, and this has to do, ultimately the original condition had to do with the use of rock haulers versus highway legal vehicles to haul material between the quarry site and the applicant's processing site. There was an addition at the end that was added as part of this negotiation that wanted to clarify that Ho'olauima will be the only means of transport of quarry material, and that there wouldn't be any transport on Railroad Avenue. So again, this is prior to commencement of quarrying activities, the applicant shall notify the Department of Environmental Management of the starting date of quarrying operations. The applicant shall only use highway legal vehicles to haul material from the quarry site to the applicant's processing site upon the acceptance of the dedication of Ho'olauima Road by the County of Hawaii, or as may be directed by the Department of Environmental Management. As represented by the applicant, Ho'olauima Road shall be the sole means of transport of quarried material between the permit site and the applicant's processing facilities. The applicant shall not use Railroad Avenue from Waiako Street to Mamaki Road to transport quarried material. So generally, we're supportive of the condition language relative to limiting the route to Ho'olauima Road. There's still some question about rock hauling vehicles versus highway legal vehicles. So at their opportunity, let the applicant to address kind of the justification for the continued use of rock haulers. Now this is a proposed new condition, and this is a new condition 8, as may be required by and subject to the approval of the State Department of Health Clean Air Branch. The applicant, in collaboration with the KPFA and the DHHL, shall develop an air quality monitoring plan specific to monitoring of air quality conditions within the permit area prior to the commencement of active quarry activities. This is to try and address some potential negative impact to the air, but it also provides some flexibility to give State Department of Health Clean Air Branch some final authority to determine whether or not such a monitoring plan would be necessary. New condition number 9, the applicant shall implement best management practices to minimize dust generated by active quarry activities within the permit area, including but not limited to the regular watering of areas being mined and stockpile areas on an as-needed basis, depending on weather conditions. These best management practices were disclosed within the special permit application dated November 23rd, 2022. Any supplemental material and the representations made before the Windward Planning Commission. So ultimately, this is just a condition to clarify that yes, best management practices will be used to indicate what those are, and then also say that the other kind of extensive list of best management practices that were submitted as part of the application and represented by the applicant would be adhered. And then finally, proposed new condition 18. This has to do with a permit site closure plan. And this is a concern that from the community association, the Farmers Association, that they be involved in development of the site closure plan. This is a requirement of the land lease, but this new condition would further clarify active participation by the associations and the planning. And the state is within 4 months from the effective date of this permit, the applicant shall commence development of a permit site closure plan, meeting with the approval of the State Department of Land and Natural Resources in consultation with the Keokaha Panaewa Farmers Association and the Department of Land and Homelands. The closure plan shall include mitigation efforts to leave the permit site in a non-hazardous condition. The closure plan shall include consideration for Hawaiian Homes Commission Act beneficiaries who reside or will reside in the KPFA community on HHCA lands in Panaewa. The method of permit site closure must not negatively impact HCCA lands or current/future beneficiaries. So these are the proposed condition amendments and changes. Again, kind of with the exception of the discussion on rock hauling vehicles versus highway legal vehicles, the director is generally supportive of these new conditions. And with that, I'm happy to turn the time back over to Chair Lynn and
Thank you, Christian. May I please have the applicant and the representative come up to the table, please? If you would please raise your right hand, so I can swear you in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission? Please state your name and the town you live in. Also, have you received the background and recommendation reports from the planning department? Do you agree with the planning director's recommendation, including the proposed conditions?
Yes.
Let's go ahead with the presentation. Thank you.
I'll lead off. Good morning again, commissioners. My name is Darren Arai. I'm a planning consultant assisting the applicant in the Mata and Sons. Guys, have you from the seat of people?
Good morning. My name is Shelby Yamada. I'm current president for Yamada and Sons Inc.
Good morning, all. My name is Donna Miller. I am a granddaughter of the founders of Yamada and Sons and currently employed by Yamada and Sons. I'm from Hilo.
Sorry, from Hilo.
Again, thank you very much. Thank you for the very thorough presentation, and thank you, Director Kern, for the favorable recommendation. We apologize for the flurry of communications between the department and the applicant. The time since our last regularly scheduled meeting back in June was well served. It gave us the opportunity to work with the community, to work with the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, to really understand the concerns, address their issues, and hopefully find common ground where both the applicant and the community can mutually benefit from the request. This, as we sit here today, this has been a 3-year journey by the applicant. It started with the preparation of archaeological studies, cultural impact assessment reports, developing environmental report that was accepted by the state, going before the state land board to secure a land license for the 37.82 acre project site, and culminating with the filing of the special permit application that we have before you today. Each and every step along the way, adjustments were made to the overall project. It originally started with a vision of maybe in excess of 50 acres, and due to findings and considerations, it was reduced. And it's just one of many such adjustments that were made throughout the entire process. So yes, it has been a long but a fruitful journey. And I say fruitful because, again, it culminates with the letter that you received dated June 27, where the discussions with the Keokahapanaewa Farmers Association and the Department of Hawaiian Homelands offer the proposed amendments to the various conditions that we're very appreciative of. And we hope that like the association and like the HHL, that the commission finds these conditions acceptable and warrant a favorable recommendation. I would like to speak briefly about condition number 5, which speaks to the use or the restriction on the use of rock hauling equipment by the applicant to transport material from the proposed quarry site to their processing facilities located just off of Ho'olauima Road. As structured, the condition does not take away any authority from the Department of Environmental Management, who has made the request that the use of equipment be limited to street legal vehicles only. We simply ask that the condition as proposed by the applicant be accepted in order to provide flexibilities that should circumstances change over the 20-year life of the land license, that the applicant in discussions with the Department of Environmental Management can make decisions on its own. Because as currently worded from the planning director, any changes or any additional considerations must go through the same amendment process with a final decision by the State Land Use Commission. And that is just in our minds, an unwarranted exercise, especially when the final thought will still remain with the Department of Environmental Management. Case in point is that between the project site and the applicant's processing facilities located just before the county's transfer station, the roads are very wide, and it was improved as such in order to accommodate the large truck haulers that currently navigate through that alignment, and have been doing so for probably 30 years, at least 30 years, with no incidents of any public safety concerns. We understand why the Department of Environmental Management made that statement, and it's still required by environmental management. The applicant has no choice but to comply. But all we ask is that flexibility be built in and not hard baked into the permit conditions that will foreclose any reasonable opportunities. If Ho'olauima is to be further widened, for example, why wouldn't that be a consideration where safety concerns are reasonably addressed by the applicant, and we can continue to use the purpose. So that's the substance of our request, and the applicant shall be there and can speak further to that. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chairman. I think it's right. So related to condition 5, she just mentioned, I understand that you want it to be dynamic so you guys can have the discussion moving forward with DEM. Is it your understanding though, at this moment moving forward, that DEM has already made a request that there shall be no rock haulers used at this time moving forward? Is that clear?
That is our understanding based on the memo that's part of the.
So then as may be directed gives you the flexibility, but your understanding is now for the record that that request has been made. Doesn't mean that you guys can't talk about that in the future and come up with some other agreement that's acceptable. Is that the intent?
That is correct. The reason being is that while the department has made its position known in its memo to as part of this process, all comments received by the reviewing agencies are recommendations that should be considered by the planning director. So like any other comments received by the county, the director and ultimately the commission, and in this case, ultimately the state land use commission will then assess whether or not it's reasonable or unreasonable. So we're just asking for some reasonable accommodations.
So with that understanding, I am okay with it. With having that condition, but let it be known that DEM has stated that that's what they want right now. Don't come back and be like, oh, we thought it was different.
No.
It's been stated, unless we get something different from DEM, that will hold true. Fair?
That is totally understood and totally
Understood.
fair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, would it be okay if the applicant, he is able to make a statement?
Sure. Go ahead.
Thank you. I had just come prepared to make a statement, but I guess I had kind of missed that time frame. So I thank you for being allowed to do it now. My name is Donna Miller. I'm a granddaughter of the founders of the Yamada Sons, Bob and Emily Yamada. I speak in support of the permit for the quarry, not only as a member of the Yamada family and an employee of the company, but also as a member of this community, because I know that this company fills a need in our community. Every community needs materials to build their homes, churches, stores, office buildings, parks, restaurants, gyms, and bridges. They need materials to build their roads, parking lots, and playgrounds. For the past 50 plus years, Yamada Sons has been one of the providers of these materials for our community. We produce aggregate of all sizes, such as sand to cushion pipes in the ground and backyard swimming pools. We produce larger aggregate that becomes the foundation for buildings or that is used to decorate landscape. We provide rocks to fill big holes so the land can be leveled and made useful. We mix aggregate with cement to produce ready-mix concrete that is used to build everything under the sun. We mix aggregate with hot asphalt oil to produce hot asphaltic concrete used to pave and when needed to repave our roadways. But before we can produce these useful materials, we need a quarry from which to extract the rock to produce these materials that provide incredible value to our community. We need a source from which all these building materials are made. We need a quarry. Yamada Sons did their due diligence in selecting this particular piece of property for the quarry, being mindful of our neighbors, and embraced working with our neighbors in moving this permitting process forward. Not only because that is the business we're in, but also because we know how important these materials are to the community. To extract, process, and deliver these materials, Yamada Sons employs about 40 people. People who live in this community and who have had a direct hand in producing and delivering this material to the community. Yamada Sons as a general contractor, as a producer of building materials, as an employer, and as a company of individuals is very mindful that we are very much a part of this community. This is the legacy of my grandparents. Thank you.
I just wanted to take some time, and I'm not sure if there's any questions, but to just thank everyone for your time. And again, we apologize about that last minute deferral in June, but I do think, and I agree with Darren, it was time very well spent working with DHHL and KPFA, who I thought would be here today, because I also wanted to thank them because they were very, very helpful in us getting to this point. So thank you to the commission, thank you to the planning department, Director Kern, thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, are there any questions for the applicant? No. I guess my only question would be, in regards to the time of operations, what is your current operation times right now when people go to pick up, you know?
It's at 7 a.m. to 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
That was my only question.
Mr. Chair. So based on the conversation, as and what Christian has gone through with the revised condition, my recommendation, when you folks adopt it, would be to adopt the revised conditions in the letter from Mr. Rai, dated July 5th, as shown in Exhibit A. Staff, correct me if that is in conflict. Is that right?
That sounds ideal.
Thank you very much. And that's based on the discussion that we just had around condition 5. All the rest of them, I had no problem. I just want to make sure we were clear on condition 5 as DEF recommended. And thank you folks for working it out with the DHL Community Association.
Thank you, Director Kern. Any other comment? Go ahead, Mr. Wright.
Sorry, I just want to clarify, the conditions, the amended conditions attached as Exhibit A, that was actually part of the June 27th transmittal. I thought it was July 5.
Oh, you know what? Sorry, I made a mistake. You're right. I was looking at the response from DHHL, which was dated July 5th. So I stand corrected, as Mr. Wright said.
Just for clarification, Director Kern, we will reference the July 5th letter that references Mr. Arai's letter.
Well, the
Or is there
other,
a separate letter attached?
the other option we have, I believe Director Kern just stated that this is his new recommendation. So if you vote to approve as recommended by the director, then that should be captured.
It will cover it. We're clear on what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Keep it simple.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, if there are no other comments or questions for the applicant, is there a motion for action?
Yes. I move that the application for special permit doc number 2022-012 be approved based on the planning director's recommendation, which shall be adopted and forwarded to the Hawaii State Land Use Commission for review.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Right, it's been moved by Commissioner Aguinaldo and seconded by Commissioner Deleuze for a favorable recommendation or for approval of a special permit. Commissioners, any discussion on this motion?
Make a point of clarification. So it's to send it forward to the State Land Use Commission. Is that right? Rick?
That's correct. So this again is a bit unique in that the commission, the way that the law is written, is the commission would vote to approve and then forward favorable recommendation to the State Land Use Commission.
Is there any discussion?
I just wanted to comment and thank Mr. Wright for his thesis that we want to read, but it's very well done. I think the doctrine will be approved. And for the family, congratulations. And that this looks like a really long project. And hopefully it works out for you guys. And then I know you've got a couple more steps, but congratulations.
My only comment is just, thank you again for reaching out to DHHL and, talking with the community beforehand and taking the time to defer action so they can get more clarification, get everything all cleared up. Makes our jobs a lot easier. If no other comments or discussion, staff may have a roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Aguinaldo.
Aye.
Commissioner Deleuze.
Aye.
Commissioner Bello.
Aye.
Commissioner Cross.
Aye.
Commissioner Daniele,
I,
and Chairman.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Motion carries with 6 ayes votes.
You'll be notified in writing of this decision.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners, Director, and staff. Thank you very much.
All right, we will move on to the planning director's report on special management area estimate determinations, minor permits issued by the planning director. Did everybody, all the commissioners receive these reports?
Yes.
Staff, do you have any other comments or anything to add to the reports?
Thank you, Jeff. I did notice that on the SFA, the short form assessment log, there are 2 cases that have a missing description. The reason for that is we're generating these new reports from our ethics system. And if the data isn't put in correctly, it doesn't output correctly. So we'll fix that to make sure that the future reports show what the description of the project is.
Any questions for staff? I guess my question would be, at the last commission hearing, we didn't have a concerned community member regarding access to easements and whatnot, I think, or either it was last one or the previous month, but has that case been resolved regarding that public access?
It is still in process. The council member is working with the planning department and the community and the landowner to come up with a solution for that.
Thank you. All right. Agenda items for the next meeting? You know how many items we have?
I believe we have 5. So a fairly robust agenda.
Thank you. All right. Anything, commissioners, you want to add to next month's meeting or anything addressed in next month's meeting? If not, we'll move on to announcements. The Windward Planning Commission's next monthly meeting is scheduled for Thursday, August 4th, 2022 at the council chambers. Is that correct? At the Hilo County Building, and the public may provide verbal testimony by interactive video conference via Zoom or at the physical location. Any updates regarding that?
No.
Okay. If there is no further business, may I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second. Okay, so it's been moved by Commissioner Daniele and seconded by Commissioner Aguinaldo. For the motion to adjourn the meeting, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then the meeting is adjourned at 10:56 a.m. Thank you, everybody.